Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to part 2 of this tutorial. So if you haven't seen part 1, please check that out, because this is obviously a continuation. So in the last video we created this template, and now we have to add some PHP to it so that we make it more active. And also in the link in the description there's an MVC framework that we created in another video, which you can watch by clicking the link in the description. I'm going to explain a little bit how the framework works, but in order to get detailed code analysis, just watch the video where we created that. Okay, so and the second thing we need is a server. So you need a server on your system. So if you don't have a server on your computer, just download XAMPP and that should do it. So I have XAMPP here, and so you open the XAMPP control panel after installing it and start these two processes, MySQL, which is our database, and Apache, which is the server. But of course you can use any server, you can use any database of your choice, that's up to you. Okay, so once we have those things running, then we are good to go. So now I can go to my server folder, which in my case is inside drive C, XAMPP, htdocs in there. So in there I created a folder named templates, and in there I have another folder called video website. This is just for me to organize myself, but you can put the video website folder directly in the htdocs folder, no problem. Then download the HTML template we created in the previous video. If you have, then extract it. Also download the MVC and extract it, the framework, and extract that as well. Once you extract the HTML, you get two folders in there, one for the admin and one for the website itself. So just open the index file. This is what you get. Apparently some images are missing here for some reason, but that's fine. We don't really care about that. Okay, so now that we know that's working, that's good. And also you have the admin page version of things. There it is. Okay, so those two are on, we are in business. Now let's go back to the MVC here and go to the public folder. And I just want to copy the link to this folder over here. Let me open a new tab, paste that, enter. So now it shows me the index of that folder, which is fine. But I want to run this through my server. So I'm going to grab everything from htdocs and build4 and convert that to localhost, because that's the server name. Okay, and you should see this right there, homepage view, which means everything is running as intended, if you see that. Okay, now I'm going to need a text editor for us to actually code. So you can use any text editor of your choice. VS Code is fine, Notepad++ is fine. I use Sublime Text, simply because I like simplicity and it is simple. So let's go back to templates here, and I'm going to grab the whole folder, the video website folder, and drop it inside my text editor. That way I can line things up from here. Okay, now that we've done all the extracting, we don't really need all the zip folders. So I can delete these guys. I'm sure you have copies, so go ahead and delete those. We don't need those guys. Just leave the folders as they are. And then our project will run inside the MVC here. That's where the project is running from right now. So I need to, I don't know if I need to close this for me to make moves here. Because if I try to move these files, cut them and paste them in here, let's see if that works. And it does work. Okay, great. So I moved those app and public folder from the folder named MVC, like that. So I'll delete that folder since now it's empty. Okay. And this one, I just want to rename it to stuff, just so it's shorter. Okay, there it is. So the main folders we want are this app and public. This one just contains our HTML templates, okay? So currently we need to run things from this folder, okay? So video website public. That's where we need to go. So here, if I try to refresh this to tell me not found, that's because I need to remove it from the MVC here, just public, and there we go, because I moved it. All right, so we have that, no worries. Okay, so now that our framework is working, we can now begin to create some pages. So what I want to do first is separate the pages so that when I click on the links, things actually happen. We go to separate pages, even though there won't be any PHP per se. For example, I want to load the home page as it is here. So if I come to my Sublime text over here, I can now go directly into public, or wait a minute, into app and controllers. So the way our MVC works is that if you want to create a page, you create a controller for that page. In this case, we have the home controller, which we can use as the default, and the 404 controllers, as you can see here. And then we create also a view that corresponds to the same controller here. So a controller and a view. That's all we need to create a page. Just make a controller, make a view. And then when you want to read from the database, each time you make a table in the database, you create a model for that table. So in this case, we have the user model because we're going to have a users table, which is defined over here. And sometimes models are not only for reading tables because they're classes, so you can use them for other things. For example, the image model in here is used to resize images if you need to. Okay, so that's that. And then the public folder contains all the assets and the CSS, the images, and the JS, and the main index.php page, which literally just loads the application. And of course, the minimum version of your PHP should be 8.0 for you to be able to use this MVC. And that's because of all the stuff that we used in our coding here. Let me see. Wait a second. Looks like I didn't actually use a lot of version 8 stuff after all. So it may actually work with lesser versions of PHP. In fact, come to think of it, let me move things a little bit here. Let me see. I actually didn't use a lot of PHP 8 stuff. Let's see. Yeah, I think this could run on a lower version of PHP. So if you want to run it on a lower version, of course it's going to give you an error. So just go to index.php and just change the version that you allow here. You can put it at 7.4, something like that, but let's leave it at 8. Better you upgrade. Okay, so with that said, let's begin making pages. Now, like I said, for every page we make a controller and a view. So we already have a home page and already have the home controller, so this is fine. Our work is cut out for us. So let's go to the home view here and just change this home view page to the template that we have. So instead of this, if I refresh, I want to see this. So simple enough. What we're going to do is go to the stuff folder. Obviously, we have the template in there, and then we have our index page, index.html. So all I need to do is just copy everything from that page and put it in the home view page, inside views, paste like that, and save. So let me come back here and refresh. And this is what I get. So you see the content looks familiar. That's because that is the home page. The only problem is our CSS files have not been loaded, nor did we load our image files. So in this folder where we have our original thing here, we have our assets folder. So we need to copy that assets folder into the public folder of our MVC assets. Okay, so I'm just going to right click on this folder and say open folder. Then I want to grab the assets folder, copy that. Let's go back to video public. And then this is the assets folder that we already have here. So I'm just going to paste so it replaces whatever is in there for now. It's just going to add to the existing files. And once I do that, it should work. There we go. Look at that. It's working. Perfect. Okay. Now that we have this, I want us to... Now this will work just fine here on the home page, right? But if I go to another page, let's say latest or something, if I do latest like so and press enter, view file not found. Okay, it won't show here, but it wouldn't work actually. The CSS files would disappear again, but let's say we're going to solve that momentarily. So what I want first to do is to separate the header and the footer, right? Header and footer. And also I want to remove everything after this point here because our home page ends with our footer. So let's do that. Since we already have the copy of our original file, we can delete what's in here as needed because we can always reference back to our main source. So I know once the login part starts, the quick links here is the last part. And then there's this section with the form, login form. So everything after this is should be removed. Okay, but we have to be careful not to remove. Let's see. That div ends there. Actually, I just have to remove everything from that login part. So let's go footer. Okay, so this section here and everything that comes after it should be gone except for the body and HTML, of course. So let's remove all that and hit save. So back here, if I now refresh, this is what I get. My home page is complete. But I need my footer and header on separate files. That way I can import them whenever I want. So if you watch, if I go to the home controller, this right here is how we load a view page. Okay. And if you look at every view page, it's got the name of the view page .view.php. So let's make a header from this. So I'm going to go here and I want everything up to, let's see here, there's that up to here. Before we go to learn to code, this right here is the header up to there. So I'm going to cut that and then create a new file in the views folder. New file, paste like so. Okay. All right. So from the doc type, body, okay, up to there, this is all good. Let's save this as header.view.php. Save. So we have a new view file there. That's awesome. Let's go back and I want to grab the footer now. And the footer starts right here. So I'm going to grab this and including the body and HTML, cut those guys, and let's create a new view file, paste, save this as footer.view.php. Done. Okay, so I'll remove all these break tags that I don't need. They don't actually do anything. Oops, went too far there. Even this one. Okay, so save that. And any break tags here don't really do anything, so remove those. And the I tags can actually be one line like so. Okay. All right, so knock yourself out and design things as you wish. Now on the home page here, let me save that. Now the thing we've done is we've removed the header and the footer. So now we need to include those files, and we can only do that using PHP. So I'm going to say include and then close that. Now you can use include or require, that's up to you. The difference is that when you say require, the script will cancel out, it will stop executing if it doesn't find the file. But if you say include, actually let's not use that, let's use this right there. So I'm going to copy that and go to home view and put it here. Okay, so the view we want to get is the header, like that. Okay, cool. I'm gonna copy that, come down here to the very end and paste and change that to footer, like so. So nothing should change on the home page. So if I refresh and nothing changes, then things are working out as intended. Because right now, if I remove this header thingy here, you will see that the header is not being included. If I load that, and we're gonna have problems. All right, so things are looking great. Let's remove those, maybe not some of these break tags. Anyway, there we go. We are done here. Okay, very cool. So for every page that we want to make, like latest, popular, playlists, etc., we just need to create a controller and a view page. All right, so with that done, let's start with our login and sign up pages, because of course we want to be able to log in and sign up. So links here should lead somewhere. So let me go down to the footer here and let me concentrate on the, so like this page here, wait a second, let me grab this, let me remove that break tag. So in here I'll put PHP tags, and that's because there is a variable called root which we have to add, and let me do that, and then put slash, and then the link to which I want to link this to. So this one will go to the login controller, and this one will go to the sign up controller. Now root must be defined, otherwise things won't work out well. So let's go to the config inside the core folder and config, and this is where we configure our system. First of all, we define the database configuration. We don't have a database now, so that's not important yet. But here we name the website. So here it's my video website. Okay. Best video website on the planet for the description. Debug mode is true. You should change this to false when you deploy this online. Otherwise it will be showing errors, which may not be good. Okay, so there we go. And then we need to define what root path we are in. So originally this was in the MVC folder and then public, but what we need to do is essentially we're asking where is this path here in terms of, actually what you should put here is whatever is in the link on the homepage here. So I'll copy that on the homepage and just replace the whole thing here like so, but remove the slash at the end like that. So that's your root path. When you deploy this online, you have to put your actual website link there to the homepage. Okay, once we are done with that, we are good. Now, if I go down here, I should be able to click and go to my login page, but it says view not found. Okay, so that's fine. Let's go here and create a login controller. So I'm just going to copy everything from the home controller, right click, new file, paste, and then here we replace every instance of the word home with login. And then let's save this as the login.php controller. Make sure you use capital letters. Its consistency is important. Capitalize the L at the beginning. Okay. So here we are telling it to look for the view file called login. So we must create it down here. So I'm going to go to views here. I'll copy the home view first. So copy everything from the home view, right click in views, new, paste and save. Then I'll save this as login, small letters .view.php. All right, so the only thing I need here is the footer and header. That's all, nothing more. I'll delete everything else. Let me go back to that HTML file, the original page, which is this one. And I'm looking for the login section. So let me try and find it. Where is this? Upload video. I think the login came first. There it is. So this is the section right there. So this section, the opening and closing, both. Let me grab those guys. And let me go to the login and paste them in between here. And let's save that and see what we've got now. And as you can see, this is what we get. We get a login page and the footer down there. Now I want to leave some gap between these two guys. So I can easily just put some break tags, or if you prefer, you could just add some styles to the section so it's bigger at the bottom. But this too works just fine. So there we go. We have our login page. Awesomeness. We can create a sign up page in a similar manner. So there we go. There we go. Cool. So let's do that. I'm going to copy everything from here, from the login page, and instead create a sign up page. So paste and do signup.view.php. Save that. And then let's go to the login PHP, copy everything, create a new controller because we need a controller for every page we create. And let's do that same thing. Save it, capitalize the word signup.php and save. Don't forget to change the actual class name to signup. All right, so this represents the link in the URL that you're going to try and access. Okay, so with that done, if I now click on sign up, I get this, but here it still says login. So all we need to do is edit the actual page. So I can remove what I need to remove. I just find these break tags annoying, but you don't need to remove them. So I'll say sign up. Let's see, to create your account. Like that. Okay, pretty good. Sign up. Let's see here. So you can change whatever you want here, really. Not a biggie. So for the sign up, there's an email here and a password. I want to add an extra input, so I'm just going to change this one to username. And it's named username already. I'll change this one to email and this one to password. Okay. The checkbox here has a name of remember and remember me. I think that's okay. What else? Password. We have a name. We have a placeholder. I think that does it. So let me refresh and there we go. So we have a username, we have email, and we have a password. Remember me is not a thing for the sign up. So let's change this one to accept terms. Okay, so I'm gonna change the name to terms like that. Okay, forgot password isn't a thing either. Here we can just ask the question, already have an account, log in here. Okay, so in case you have an account already, you can log in there. So let's put an A tag. Like so. And always, whenever you're adding a link, you must add the root path so that your links are always absolute paths and not relative paths, because they don't work very well when you do that. So this takes us to our login page, and let's change that as well. Let's just change it to create account, like so. Okay. All right. I don't know why it's not showing the thingy down there, this button. Let's see, there's a div here. There must be one of these divs that has a fixed height, so I'm just going to inspect. I want to know which one of these does. So any height here as I go up, this one. Yeah, there's mean height, and then there's absolute height here. So I think this is the one. If I remove that, yeah, then it shows properly. So it's this one, class 34. So it's the one with class 34. Where are you, class 34? It's this one. So I can just add an extra style here and say height auto, just to cancel what's existing already, and refresh, and there we go. So accept terms and conditions, or you can click login and be taken to the login page, or you can do the opposite on the sign up, whatever. One thing I forgot to create, actually, it's alerts. I don't know why I always forget to create those when I'm designing my page. So we need an alert here. Any errors should be put there. So what I'm gonna do is, let me just look at this. I think after this part we can add some errors. I will design this message box using styles directly. So here I'll give it, let's see, let me give it, let's start with text align. Let's make it center, and then let's add some padding of 1em, and then what else? Let's put a background color of red, and then color of red again. Then we can make adjustments. Please fix the errors. Okay, let me see how that looks. And there it is. Okay, it's good enough, but let's inspect and change a couple of things. So the text and the background color are the same, but what I want is the color to be dark red while the background to be light red. Something like this. Okay, cool. So now I can copy these guys and put them there. See, background, paste, and color. Where is that? And paste. Okay, cool. Okay, so if there are any errors, they're going to show on that. So we only show this if there are errors, right? So what I'll do is I'll put an if statement here, some PHP tags, and say if not empty errors. So whenever there's an array called errors and it's not empty, then we display whatever is in it. So end if, like so. All right, then let's move everything over like that. All right, that way it only shows when there are some actual errors. Okay, cool. Now, if you want the errors themselves down here, you can put them after each input. So you can use the div here. And then put small tag. So the text is small. And then let's put a style in there as well. And say color red. And that's all. Let's see. This is an error. I want to see how that look. Okay, so this is an error. I think that looks fine for me. That way we can have errors under specific inputs. And then just like we did here, let's put an if statement and put it there. Let's put the end if as well and put it here. Let me move that. Now here we want to be very specific. If there's an error for username, then that's when we display that error for username. So I'm going to copy that, bring here, instead of saying this is an error, we're going to echo that like so. Okay, so if you're wondering, in case you're wondering, this PHP tag with an equal sign is the same as doing PHP echo like so, but we just make a shortcut by putting the equal sign like that. Okay, so with that, no errors to show. That's great. So the same way we've added this on here, I'm going to duplicate that and add it on every single section here. This one is for email, and this will be the error for password. Now you may want to retype the password as well. So I'm going to duplicate this password thingy. I don't need an error for each of these password thingies because I can use one only. So it's retype password. This one we're going to call it retype underscore password like that. Okay, and that's the name. Oh, type is password. This I wanted there. All right, good. And then accept terms. If we don't accept the terms, we should get an error as well. So let's put that there. There's an error for terms as well. All right, I think that does it. This one should be password, like so. So email, password, username, email, password. Okay, good. So everything is great. One more thing though, if I type something like here, and then I create account, it reloads and it doesn't show me the old value. So luckily there's already a function. That's the beauty of an MVC system. There's already a function we created called old. I think that's what it's called. Now, if you're unsure of any function, just go to the functions thingy in the core and try to find it. So let's see here. Do I have function old value? Yes, I do. So we're going to use that function. So here you can check how the function works in case you've forgotten. There's also one for the select type and one for the checked variety, I think. So back to the signup view. How we use that is by saying value is equal to, and then we put PHP tags to echo the old value. And then we tell it the key that we are looking for. In this case, it's the username, like that. So all I need to do now is copy this and repeat there. Change the key to email. Put that there and change that to password. Okay. Here we change that to retype password. Okay. Now for the checkbox, it's different. It should be old checked, but I don't know if we have it. Oh, there we go. We have that old checked. If you look at this, it needs a key. It also needs a value, and then in case there's a default value there, but If you want it to be checked by default, you can put a 1 there. So we put a key and a value. So this is added right here. You don't need to put the value word here, no. It will just tell it to be checked if it was checked. So it needs the key and the value. So the value is 1. We need to have a value for this one, which is 1, like that. And remove that. Oops. Like so. Okay. Great. I think all this seems to be working as intended. So refresh. Oh, if I refresh this and resend, you see that old value show up again. Okay, so our sign up page is practically ready for use. All I need now is something to accept the result on the other side. So now if I go to the sign up controller, because that's where we will be doing all this stuff from, right in here before we show the view file, I can put let me create a new core request, like that. Okay, so this request is a class we created inside the core models here. So it's inside the core namespace. So it's right here. So you can check this class to see what it does. The namespace is core. That's why we are using core there, and so on and so forth. Now, if you don't want to be doing this, you can say here, use core request, like that. Okay, and once you do that, it means here you don't have to do this. You can just say new request, like that. So this is useful if you're going to do many of these. You're going to be doing new request multiple times. You can type less code by doing this. That way it works there. Okay, so request like this. We create a request. There are functions in that request class which we can use here. So for example, I want to, by the way, the function dd shows you, it echoes whatever you put there in a nice way. So I'll use dd. Did I use dd? Oh, sure. This is weird because I've made quite a number of frameworks in my time, and I tend to use different functions. So in this case, it's show, it's not dd. So sorry about that. It's show. Okay, so show like that will display whatever you put in here. So in this case, I want to display what's inside request post, and then this is a function, so you put open and closing bracket like that. So whenever you do this, you're grabbing whatever is in the post request. So in this case, if I say create account, this failed. Okay, so failed to open stream, no such blah 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 was found. Okay, so I guess this failed. Why this failed is beyond me. Maybe I'm losing my mind. Okay, let's just move it to there in that case. So don't sweat it, just let's do that. Let's not do it like this. Sometimes it's funny. Okay, so I guess that wasn't the problem. So it just says it just can't find that guy. Okay, so let me undo that. Okay, just so I'm sure this is not the problem, I'll put that back here. Okay, sorry, this is my bad. I don't know why I did this. So I know the problem here. The problem is that these guys, the request and all these models should not be in here. They should be in the models. I thought I moved this in a previous tutorial, but surprise, surprise, it's still here. I think I'm still using the old version. So grab all the request, session, and pager. All these guys here. Which other one? No, those three. Cut them and put them in the models folder. Okay, that should solve the problem. Okay, so this should work now. The reason is because every time you ask for a model, it just goes to the models folder to find it, nowhere else. So refresh, this should work now. And as you can see, it's working because username is that which we see here, email is empty, password. So we are submitting something. So that's great. Now we can begin to type something to save in the database. Now, in order for us to save in the database, we need to create a database first. So now type localhost phpMyAdmin to go to databases. Okay, great. So in here, we can click new to make a new database, and you can call the database anything you want. This one is called, I'm going to call it video website underscore DB. Just don't put any spaces, use underscore instead. Now let's create a table. This table, we're going to call it users. I don't know how many columns, just add a 10 there for number of columns. Let's add an ID column. We need a primary key. Make sure you select auto increment and it's a primary key. Leave it at int, that's fine. Now we need a username. We need an email for the user, and we need a password. We also need to save the user role. In case you want to have admins and normal users, you can use role. And then the date when it was created. So you can say date created or date updated. Let's use that so it's more professional. Date created and date updated. Okay, so what else am I missing? Username, email, password. I think this is fine. So these are variable character types. All of these. The date created should be date. It depends whether you want just the date or with the time. So let me just do date time just in case. And same thing here, date time. Okay. Where is this date time thingy? There we go. Okay. Now date updated, because this will only be added when you update. Let's select no here to signify that when we first create the row, we expect an empty value. It's possible there could be an empty value here, so it should accept that. But date created should not have an empty value. And it's very tempting here to say, to give it a default value of current timestamp. The only problem with this is that when you edit the row, even the date created is updated. So I don't like using that. Instead, let's just select no, so it can accept empty values just in case. Then in the row here, we have to tell it how long the row is. So if you expect the longest row name to be admin, you can count how many characters you expect. But let's just put 10 for now. Password, put 255 to cover any form of encryption you may want to use. 100 characters for an email, just in case people have crazy long emails. And then the username as well, maybe 50 characters. Okay, so with that, we are good to go. Now I can click the save button down here, save. And this creates a user table for us. So we'll be using email to read from the database when we are logging in, of course. So let's add an index there to make that process faster in case of thousands of records. And we may want, if you're going to be using search, like users can search for one another, then you can add an index to the username. But in this case, it's irrelevant. So I'm going to leave it as it is. Here on the row, you can actually put a default value if you want. But there's no need for that. You can tell it to have a default value of user, probably something like that. You can do that clicking change here and add a default value as defined, and then you can say something like user will be the value that is given in case there is no value added. Okay, so there it is. We have a users table. All we need now is to add at least one user to that. And to do that is very simple. We just need to have a, where is this? There's a user model here, right? So as you can see here, it points correctly to the users table. But don't forget to change your configuration here to match your DB. So the DB is video website underscore DB. The host is localhost, the user is root, the password is empty, the driver, why is DB driver empty anyway? This is weird. Is MySQL. Okay, there we go. Yep, I think this works just fine. Now, if you're using mump, the password might be root as well. Okay, so with this, we have a connection. We can make a connection. Now, on the user's model here, there's a function we created called validate to validate data before we insert it. And then here it shows us what columns are allowed to insert. Now, the reason we have this is because when we are signing up, all we have to do, for example, is, I'm going to copy this first of all. Let me say data is equal to that. So I have moved everything from the post variable, not moving it, just copied into this data variable. So now what I can do to save is simply to say user insert like that, and it's going to insert that data. Now this data, the post data, may have more stuff than we need. For example, if I go back here, you see there's this retype password column here, which is not needed. It's not part of the database table itself. This could be terms and conditions as well. So when we specify what columns are allowed in the model here, it's going to remove everything apart from what's specified here. So let me duplicate this a few times, and I know a good way to make sure you don't miss any columns is just to grab this like so. Just leave the ID because we're never going to edit the ID. I'll paste like so, and then put commas on here. That way I capture every column that is in the table. Okay, so let's do this. Let me select those, and I'll do that. All right, like so. Okay, so at least username, email, password, role, everything is represented here. Then you can remove the columns that you never want to be editable. All right, so the validate function, now you can add as many functions as you want in here to do things that you want. Now the validate function will validate the input before we save. So first of all, email validation is already set up. This is good. Password is already set up. Terms, we need terms. Please accept the terms and conditions. That's good. Also, if password is not empty, we can check. Let's do else if. I'm going to duplicate this. Else if. Let's remove that. Else if password, this data password like this is not equal. Let's see here. To the password retype. Passwords do not match. Like so. Okay. So at least we are evaluating the email, the password, and what else? A username is required as well. So let me grab this the way it is. Actually, let me just duplicate this guy. So every reference to password here, my mouse is dancing around. I want to change to username. So if empty username, you say username is required. And so if the username exists, now we want to check if it's valid, if it's a valid username. If it only has letters, for example, and no numbers. If we don't want numbers in there, we can do if not preg match. That way we use a regular expression to match what we want. And let's do that. Okay, so let's put a pattern we want to conform to. So A to Z, capital A to capital Z are all acceptable. We don't want spaces in the username so that it's one name. Let's put a plus there and a $sign. And let's move here as well, like that. So what this means is that evaluate this from the beginning of the text to the end of the text. And then check if they're only alphanumeric, alphabet letters only. The plus is to say any number of characters. So this will only check for those. Now, if there are leading and trailing spaces, this may create a problem. So use the trim function here to trim leading and trailing spaces. So we say here username can only have letters without spaces. Okay, so there you go. Now, once we reach the end here, all these errors are added to the errors variable of the model. So then it returns true or false, depending if there are any. If there are no errors, it will say true, which means no errors. We can go ahead. False means there were errors. So that's about that. We don't need to evaluate the row or none of these. Okay, great. Now with that in mind, we can do this though. I'll duplicate here. Use user. Now the user is in the namespace model, not core. So you have to be careful there. Let's put the actual namespace. Okay. Then let's require it. Let's just create a new version of it here and say user is equal to new user model, like that. Okay, so that way we can use it to save data. Now here, before we save the data, obviously I'll grab the data from there, but here I want to say if user and then say validate, which is that function inside the user's model, and then we provide the data from the post, like so, and then we are done. So once we provide, if this returns true, then we insert the record. It's as simple as that. And then we redirect our user. We created a function called redirect. You can find it inside functions. We are redirecting to the login page. We also created a function called message. Hopefully it's there. So let me check in the functions. I'm looking for function message. Okay, so message is there as well. So good. So we can save a message here by just doing message like that and saying your account was created. Please log in to continue. Continue. Okay, that does it. And then the other thing is we need to send the text. What's this? Any errors that came from here, we need to send them over to the view side so the user can actually see. So here I'm going to do else like that. Actually, here I can just do this and say, actually, let me not use data here. Let me just say, what can I use instead of data? Maybe let's call it post, like that, okay? Not to be confused with the other variable. What I want to do here is say, I want to use the data variable for something else. So here I'm going to say data errors is equal to an empty array. So this will always contain errors, just in case. Okay. And then in order for anything to appear in the views side, you must send it here as an array. So I'm going to send the data array. I'm going to always just use the data array. Whatever is contained in here will be sent as a variable to the signup view, to the view file here. Okay. Then at this point, I want to say data errors is equal to whatever errors came back in the user evaluation there. Okay. And then I only want this to happen once we post something. So I'm going to say if request posted, like that. So we have a function called posted in there, which we can use to check if something was posted. So let's go down here. I'm moving this to there, like so. So let's move everything over like that. Now, if I go back to my request, I need to know if posted was post and then posted. Where is it? So we don't actually have that. Oh, it is here, posted. So it checks if something was posted and there is something actually in the post variable. So if the request method was post, now you can remove this if you want to be able to detect a post, a submission, even though the submitted data, there's no submitted data, just somebody pressing a post button. So you can remove this because this checks to see if there's actually data there. So it's up to you if you want. Oh, actually you need PHP 8 because such things will not work without it. So if for some reason you want to use this framework on PHP, a smaller PHP version, just remove these from this function, from any of these classes, then it's gonna work just fine. This is PHP 8 stuff. Okay, so posted, great. Let's remove that. So if request posted, then grab the items from the post variable and then validate the stuff. If it passes the test, insert a new record and then write a message and then redirect to the login page. If this does not work, because once we redirect, we won't even get to this point. But if we get to this point, it means there were errors. So grab those errors to send to the view file. Now, something else to note here is we need to encrypt the password. So here I'm just going to say post, because that's what contains the data we want. And this is an array. So I'm going to say post password is equal to, and I'll use the password hash function to do so, to hash the password. So let me replace that with that. And that's it. That's how you hash your password there. Cool. And then the second thing is I want us to add a date as well. Date created. So I'm going to say date created is equal to. So let's create a date of the current time by giving it a format like so. Okay. Cool. Then we also need a row, a default row, just to make sure that the default row is always user to the new user, like that. Okay, I think that covers it. The rest were supplied by the user. Okay, very, very cool. Now we need a way to read out this message once we have it. So let me go back to the sign up page. Where is that? Sign up view. And right about here where I'm displaying this error, I want to duplicate this guy like so. Now instead of looking for errors here, I'm just going to say if message, open close bracket. So if message, like that, if there's a message in there, so copy that and let's put the message here. Let's echo that message like that. Okay, now let's send in an empty message like that, because whenever it sees an empty like that, it knows you want to read the existing message. But the reason I'm putting that is because I want to put a true here to tell it to delete the message after displaying it. That's how the message function works. Okay, so with this, we are good. Yes, yes. So let's give it a shot and see what we have missed, if anything. I'm gonna do that. Okay, so let me try and create, let's see what errors I get. And it says, please fix the errors. Okay, username is required, email is required, password is required, please accept the terms and conditions. So let's try and fix these one by one and see if the errors disappear. And as you can see, it disappeared, but it didn't show me the checkbox here once more, which leads me to think I'm using the wrong function here. Let's see, accept. Yeah, it's not supposed to be old value, it should be old checked. That's the function we use for checkboxes. All right, so let's try again. Let's go accept conditions. And as you can see now, it remains ticked. That's good. Let's create a username. And let's do that. Okay, that's gone. Let's put an email at email.com. Create. Great. Let's try and put numbers in the name. Okay, username can only have letters without spaces. If I do that as well, you should put letters without spaces or numbers, just so they know. Okay, so that's working. Now the password here. Password will be password. Here I'll intentionally write the wrong one. So password is required, but if they don't match, passwords don't match. And then let's put the actual password there. Okay. Now actually, this message here should be on the login page and not on the sign up page. We don't need it here. So I'm going to cut that and take it to the login view page, which is right after this part here. Paste like so, so that if we, in case we have a message, that's what we're gonna get. All right. So since now everything should work, okay, we should be able to create an account. So let me write create, and there it is. Look at that. So failed to open stream, no such file or directory exists on line 9. So it's looking for a model called PDO.php. I don't know why I always forget to do these things. This is insane. Anyway, the error is coming from the database.php here. You see PDO, because we're in the model namespace, so it can't find PDO because PDO is not in the model namespace, since this is the namespace we are in. So you have to put a slash before the PDO to tell it that it's in the main directory, not in any namespace whatsoever. So every instance of PDO should have a slash at the beginning here whenever you're referencing PDO, just like that. So you can search for all occurrences of that and fix it. Okay, now that we have that fixed, it should work fine. So refresh and resend. Okay, look at that. Your account was created successfully. Please log in to continue. But let's make sure that things worked by going to our table. And there it is. Look, the information was saved as intended, just like nature intended. Okay, so that's good. Now we just need to be able to log in. Now to clean up a little bit, let me close all files first. Then we can deal with the login page. All right, so let's fix the view file here. Actually, what we can do is just copy everything from the... maybe not. I almost said from the sign up, but what we can do is copy this part here. Email up to password here without the password retype. So copy that. Let's go to the login page. Let's replace these guys. Paste. All right. Okay, if there are any errors, we'll see them there. Actually, we don't need these error thingies either. So let me remove these. We can just use the message thingy that's up there. So the name to this one is remember. Okay. Forgot password. We don't need this. Let me go to the sign up. You may need the forgot password, but let me put this already, since we're not putting this feature anyway. Don't have an account. Let's reference the sign up page here. All right, cool. So let's load that. Okay. If I click there, I go to the sign up. Here I go to the login page. Okay. Then remember me, then email password. All right. Okay, so this is looking okay. Form, method, post, everything seems fine. Now let's go to our let's go to this sign up thingy here, and I want to grab these. Go to the login side, paste. Now I want one more of these called session, because I want us to authenticate a user, and we use sessions for that. So I'll grab the sessions class, which is also right here. So session has a function called set to set values in the session. There's get to get values. There's auth to authenticate a user. So you supply the user role, and then there's logout to log a user out. And then you can also check if the user is logged in. That's one thing. And then you can have the user function to grab any column from the currently logged in user's row. That's how you get the user's name, the current logged in user's name, or to grab all the items from the session. Okay, so there we are with session. And let's see, what else can we grab from the sign up side? So these two, of course, even data error is not so important. Let me get back to the login page. Okay, this should do just fine. Let's do session as well. I'll call this one sesh, like this. And what else? We need to be able to check if something was posted, of course, and then grab that data. We don't need to validate that data, so that's okay. Let me do this. Like so. There we go. And then if things go well, obviously we have to redirect. Let me grab this. If everything goes well, we redirect to the home page. Now you can redirect to the home page or the admin page. That's up to you. You can check if the user is an admin and redirect them accordingly. So here you can say wrong email or password. So I want to use this message when things didn't go well, of course. Okay, so since the items are in the post variable, I want the email first of all. So I'm going to say row. To grab a user row, I'll say user, and I'll use a function code first, which grabs only the first found row that is correct. So what I give in here is an array. So I'll put this in brackets to make it into an array and say email, and then point to the value. So I'm telling it first, and I'll send an array with email and the value itself. That way it's going to find any column with that email. And if things go well, so here I'm going to say if row, like this, then there's an else statement. If we didn't find a row, then wrong email or password, like this, right? Good. Now the redirect should simply happen in here when everything is okay. So if we grabbed that row correctly, now what we need to do is check for the password. So we'll use a function called password hash. So it returns true or false. So we can use it in an if statement. We're going to say if password verify, actually not hash. So here I want the password that the user supplied. So this is inside post. So just like we have post email here, we can have post password. And then the hash is the one that's inside the database. It's hashed, so it's called the hash. So let's put it here. All right, so if things go well, then we redirect to our home page like that. But otherwise, we have to say wrong email or password, like so. Now, before we redirect the user, we need to authenticate them. So let's use the session and say auth, and then we supply the row of the user we are trying to authenticate, like so. Simple and straightforward. Okay, and then now you can check to say if row, the row currently is equal to admin, like that. Okay. So what I want to do is duplicate this guy, move him up like so. Okay, so if the row of the user is admin, redirect them to the admin page, otherwise redirect to the home page. Okay. Yeah, looks pretty standard, pretty straightforward. I think it's gonna work here. So let's try this out. So if I just get here and try to log in, it says wrong email or password. Okay, expected. Oh, there's that thing here which I need to fix on 34. Let's put a style, height, auto. All right. Login. There we go. Let's try an email. It still says the same thing. Let's try password. Yeah. And now I can log in. Look at that. So now I'm a logged in user. which is awesomeness. Okay, now how do I know I'm actually logged in? We can always check to see the username. So you could put a username over here. This one thing I forgot. If you want to say hi user or something, let's go to the home view page. Now in the home view page, right at the top here, I can just echo something. I want to echo something. Actually, let me just go to the home controller right about here. I'm gonna say session is equal to new core session, and then say show session user, and then we can grab any user column of the logged in user in there. So I want the username, so we should see something. Yep, there we go. So we are logged in. Cool. Very nice. Okay, so now that we are logged in here, you can put something like hi so and so. That's up to you, and put that name there. But for now, that's not important. What I now know is that I can log in and I can sign up, and that's great. So now let's create the upload page, because we need at least one video. Oh, all the images came back. Look at that. Incredible. I didn't notice that. Okay, so what we want to do is create at least one video to show here. Okay, so we need to have the upload thing working. So let's see here, upload video. If I click on that, it should show it. And by the way, these should be selective when showing. So let's do that. Let's fix these in the footer. So if I go to the footer, I'm gonna grab this right here because I need this. In fact, let me delete that. I've copied those. Let me go to the footer. Right in the footer here, I can do some PHP tags and create a new session file and close those like that. Okay, so session, and then I can grab this guy and do this. Boom. Okay, sesh is equal to new core session. Okay, that way I can use it here. So what I really want here is to determine when I'm logged in and not. So for example, user links, right? These should all be only when I'm logged in. No, when I'm not logged in, actually. So I'm gonna do PHP and say if sesh is logged in. Okay. Okay, so what I want to do is, let's see, where is session? Session is here. And the function is called what? Is logged in. Okay, great. It returns true or false depending whether you're logged in or not. So if logged in, or, and then say and sesh user row is equal to admin, then we get the admin page. So if this user, in other words, if this user is an admin, then we show this admin link. Okay, the second one is just if the user is logged in. So let me grab this, put it here, grab the end if, and put it here. All right. So these guys will only show up if I'm not logged in. So say if not logged in, I don't need to check for the admin section. If not logged in, then log in and sign up. But if I am, so let me just do this. Instead of the not, I'll just say if logged in, and then I'll duplicate one of these and then move it outside like so. Actually, I should have left it at the top there. So I'll grab this and put it over here and put it as an else statement, full colon. Okay, so if I am logged in, we show the logout button. And this should send us to the logout. Okay, if I am logged in, then if I'm not logged in, then we show the others. So that's cool. Same thing here. If I am logged in, you can show the V upload, and I should be an admin as well. So grab that and let's put it here. Same with new playlist here. Only the admin can add these things. So let's do this. There we go. And the link to these would be root. And say this one, I'll just call it upload. And this one will be new. Actually, instead of upload here, maybe we'll... Let's see here. Let me play around with... Maybe it will be like this. Playlist / new. I think that's more organized. And here it will be video / new. Okay, I think that makes more sense. So let's refresh and see what's going on. Okay, so we have logout here instead, which is great. Let's make the logout page as well, because that should follow, obviously. So the login controller is more like the logout page. So I'm going to grab all of this, create a new controller, paste. This will redirect to our login page, so that's great. Actually, we just need the redirect to log in. So let's do that here, redirect, login. Okay, cool. This one is the logout.php, capitalized L. And we don't need to check if anything was posted, yada, yada, yada. I just want this session here. Let me grab everything before that and just say, I don't need this user thingy. I don't need the request thingy. I just need the new session and redirect to the login page. But before that, we need to log out the user. We don't need to supply anything in there, and that should do it. So make sure this says logout, just like that. Logout class. Okay, great. That's all it is to it. So now let me try that. Logout. Wait. So how do I know I'm actually logged out? Well, there's the login and sign up thing is there. So I am logged out. So let me log in again, password. And there we go. So very cool. And I am not an admin, so that's why it's not showing me the upload thingy. But I'm not restricted. I can just type in the link here for now. But what I want to do is the first record, I want to change the role to admin. Okay, now it only recognizes me if I log out and log in again as admin. Okay, so it sent me to the admin page, as you can see, but view page not found, so that's okay. Let's go back to the home page, and now you can see this upload video over here. So if I click on upload video, the view file is not found, so Now look at the link here we have. It's called video. So that's the controller name we should use, and then the function name should be new. So let's go there. Now I'm gonna go to, let me close everything here for now. Let's click on homepage to copy this. Okay, and let's create the upload page. All right, so let's copy everything from the home controller. So copy, new controller, paste, new file there, paste, and then this one will be called video. I'm trying to avoid using this here. I think it's fine. Video is okay. So video, let's change this to video. Save it, video, capital V .php, like this. Okay. So the things we need in here, maybe we need the session core, that's fine. But from the home, wait, log out, log in. Let me copy these guys. They seem to be useful. So instead of the user here, let's try the video like that. We're gonna make a video class. This is why the namespaces are important. You see, this one is in the model. What's this? Model namespace. So it's the same class name. It will be the same. This is class video. We'll make another class video as well. So if there were no namespaces, this would be a problem. But because this is inside the controller namespace and this one is inside the model namespace, so both can exist. Okay. So here we don't need to do that. We need to check the session. First of all, we need to know if the user is an admin. So we'll say if session user row, we want the row column. If it's not equal to admin like this, let's redirect this user to the login page. Okay, cool. Now, otherwise, we continue. We want to know the request as well. So let's do the request and video here. So this is the RIC, short for request. And I want the video. I'll call it just video. Alrighty then. This is looking great. Now, the thing is, we don't have the video class yet, but we can create it, the video model, just by getting the user model, copy everything, models, new, paste, save, but save this as video.php. Okay, so this one will be in the model namespace. That's great. Let's change all references of user. I didn't need that, to video. Okay, so there we go, video. The name of the table should be videos. For now, this is okay. We'll change everything later. I just wanted the model to exist first. So let's close that, back here. So everything is good. Also, I will need the video view file. So I'm gonna grab any of these view files, copy, and then do new, paste, save, and then say video small letters dot view dot php. Obviously, I want to remove everything in the middle here, so I can replace it with the HTML, the proper HTML. So find that HTML file, and let's see where it says upload. Right here, where we have video title, video description. Oh wait, no, that's not the is it? Yeah, this part with options here, upload video. There we go. So grab this section here. Where does it end? Right there. So grab that, copy. Let's go to the video view, paste, and save. Okay. Refresh. Cannot declare class controller video because the name is already in use. Is it? On line 14. Wait. Where is line 14? It's right here. Class video. Namespace controller. Okay, I see this is the problem I have made here. You see, when I say use model video, it means I have literally imported a video class already, so I can't redeclare it here. So instead, we'll have to make do with doing like this. That way we don't have to import it. Okay, so that should work now, I hope. Okay, seems to be working, that's fine. Yeah, so this importing only works well if you're not repeating the names, I guess. All right, so with this, we are good. Let's just make sure our... where is this? Okay, so you see, the reason this is not working, I think this is what I needed to show at some point, is because we have this /new at the end. If I remove this /new like so, it'll work just fine. Look at that. But if I go back to the /new, then it doesn't work anymore because the paths to the CSS and images are relative. So we just need to make them absolute, and that should solve the problem. Actually, it's in the header where we have an issue. Let's try and change the header first. So everything in the header here that has assets / like so, I should select, and then just put root at the beginning, like this, and close that and put the /. That will make them absolute paths. So by refreshing, you can see something has changed, but images still not loaded. So now we go to the actual file here and do the same thing again. Assets / should have root in there and a /. And that should do the trick. Okay, there we go. Same thing in the footer here, as you can notice. Where is our footer? Any reference to assets must be dealt with in a similar manner. Oops, there we go. And there we go. Okay, so everything is cool now. Let's upload a video. I actually forgot to put the file input for the video file itself. So this is the featured. I should have put a title here. I don't know why I did not. So let's wait a second. Upload video. What am I looking for? Oh, okay. This is the footer. So there's upload video here, and then there's this image over here. Now the image here, instead of having the actual image, what we're going to do is let's replace all of this with a function we already have in our functions arsenal, which is called getImage, and close bracket. Just like that. This one will get the image you specify. If it doesn't exist, it will put a placeholder, just like it has done here. Awesomeness. Okay, now if in case it gives you errors and stuff, I don't think it will though. Let me copy this. Let me just confirm that I fixed that issue. Right. Okay, so it won't give you any errors at all. Okay, great. So we have that image thingy there. And what else? What was I looking for? Okay, so the video title, the playlist, we won't worry about playlists for now, and the description. Now the text area has I should do this to make sure it's okay. Then what I need to do is put in old value, and then here description. Okay, and copy old value again. Let's go over here to title, put that in value. Okay, great. Now we have that file input. So let me grab this file input. I want to put in that class that I put there. What am I trying to do? Okay, let me duplicate this title area here for a sec and change to, say, video file. Yeah, this one will be called file. Actually, this will be relevant. Let me paste the input. Name is not image but file. And even though it has this class, I'll do style display block so it's visible. Okay, so a video file here, we browse for it, a title, featured image. Maybe we needed to specify that as well. Let me put a div. Something like this. So featured image, good. Now I want when I click on this, it opens the file dialog. So I'll do a style first of all and put a cursor pointer here. Okay, and then I'm gonna put everything inside a label like that. Okay, grab that, including the input, paste, move things over like so. Very cool. Now the reason I'm putting a label here is that whenever I click on the label, it's like clicking everything in here. So it's the same as clicking the input there. Even though we can't see it, we are roughly clicking on it. So when I click here, it will bring the file dialog like that, which is awesomeness. Okay, video file, featured image, blah blah blah, description. Cool, interesting. Yeah, and progress bar. We'll add the progress bar later. Okay, now this upload, this will be different from how we are doing the login and sign up. We're going to use Ajax here because we want to see the progress of the upload. Video files can be quite large, so it would be a good idea to be able to see what's going on while you are doing the upload. Yeah. So then for this to occur, so let's go to the cancel button here and tell it that this should be a button and not a submit. So type is equal to button like that. Okay. I don't know what this is for. Maybe it's useful. Oh yeah, it's useful. Okay, I'll leave that. The save will submit this thing. Now, when the form submits, let's capture that submission. We'll say on submit, let's say submit underscore form. And then here I will select event like that. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I want to create some JavaScript. So I want to intercept this form. When we submit, instead of it submitting, it should call this function we're going to create momentarily. So Let me save that. And it's going to supply the event itself, which is the submit event. That way we can tell it not to submit the form entirely. So let me go down here now. We add some JavaScript. We can add this anywhere, after the footer, before the footer, it doesn't really matter. So if you're not very good with JavaScript, it's not much JavaScript we're gonna do. So you can practically ignore this part and just type it along. You don't have to really know what's going on here. But essentially we're creating a function called submit form, and it will expect an event. So we're going to use the letter E to capture that value we are expecting. Okay. Now I can do an alert here, an empty alert, just to show you that this function is being called when we submit the form. So I'll refresh the page and submit the form, and you see there's an alert now. Okay, and it refreshes the page. Click alert, page refreshed. But I don't want the page to refresh. So what I'm going to do is right here before the alert, I'm going to say E, which is representing the event. I'll say dot prevent the default action of that event. So the submit will submit a form. So I just tell it to prevent the default action. So now what happens is if I resend, I save and do that, it doesn't refresh the page, as you can see. Okay, very cool. Now the second thing is I want to capture all inputs from here. This is a text area, this is a select, and this is a file input, and this one is a text input. So I want to select all of these guys and see what data they contain. So instead of this alert, I'm going to say let form be equal to, let's call it my form, because this could be a keyword form. So let my form is equal to e.current target. So current target is the item that was clicked or that produced the event. So in this case, it's the form. So that's fine. And then what I'm going to say is grab all inputs. So let's say inputs is equal to my form. So I want to get from my form query, I'll call this query selector. So query selector is how you select items from a specific thing. But in this case, I want to select all that match the criteria I'm searching for. And in this case, it's all input, comma, select, comma, text area. So any item that has a tag name of input, select, or text area will be grabbed. Okay. Then once I do this, I can do a loop now and say for, okay, inputs, right? So each input there, I can grab the data. So if you want to see this in action, I can do an alert instead. And then here we're gonna say dot name, right? Let's do that. So we just want to display each name of every input we grab at this time. So refresh the page. Oopsie daisy. Document expired. No biggie. Just refresh. And let's see it save. Now you see we grab the description, we grab the playlist ID, we grab the file, and we grabbed the title. So everything is working, and then finally the image. Okay. So we are able, all we need to do is now grab the values of those things, and that's it. So in order to submit, I want to create a form, a virtual form that I can submit. So I'm going to say let, now this is the problem. Okay, I'm going to call it data for lack of a better word. So let data is equal to new form data. Does it need brackets? Not sure. Okay, anyway, this is how you create a virtual form. So I'm going to grab that data, and here I just want it to add the value of whatever item we are getting there. So for example, it's a data.append. That's how you add an item to a form. You use the append function. So here you have to put a key, comma, and then a value. So I already have the value of the input right here. That's where you get it. And the key is really the name of that input, like that. Okay, so this is great. The only problem is for images and video, they are not inside the value property of that input. So that file input has another property called files, which contains the files. So here we need to do a check. So I'm going to say something like if inputs.name is equal to image, for example, or the name is equal to file. In both of these cases, we are supposed to append let's do this and put an else statement. That's where we put this other one. So if it's an image or a file, we're going to use the .files0. So the files attribute is actually an array, so we just want to get the very first file, because a user can add several files to one input. So here we just want to grab the first file. We leave the key, blah blah blah. The rest we'll just grab their values. Simple and straightforward here. Okay, cool. Now there's also validation. Sometimes you don't want empty values before we start adding things like so, right? So let's create an array of optional values. So let's say let optional is equal to, let's create an array. What's optional there, really? Maybe the description is optional. Everything else shouldn't be. For now, I'll put the playlist ID as well as optional. So these two, but the rest should not be optional. So I'm going to say description. What are the name? Playlist ID. But that's it, really. Okay, so optional fields. You can say optional fields. Okay, so that's, oops, I can't even double click that. So in this case, if for any reason, while you're looping through here, you find that one of those items is not in the optionals field and then it's empty, then there should be a problem, right? All right. Okay. So first of all, let's just go through here. I'm going to say, but wait a minute. Okay. We're going to consider the image and file as optional, just so we can skip them from evaluating here. We will use a different evaluation method for those two. So I'm going to say image and file are optional as well. So here we're going to say if, okay, if the name is equal to empty, no, if the value of that input is empty, and optional, no, not that, optional fields dot includes the name of this input, or if it does not include the name of this, which means it's not optional. Okay, so at this point empty value. So at this point we'll say return, so we can exit the function altogether, And then at the same time, we'll alert the user and say the field then we'll add that field name and then space is required, like that. Okay. All right, that field is required. Also, the reason I'm putting these as optional as well is because, like I said, we don't consider their value, we consider their file input. Now, it's quite hard to determine whether there's a file in there or not. There are several methods, I guess, but it's easier to just create some variables here. So I'm going to say var image added is equal to false, and another one will be file added is equal to false. That way, when we add a file, we just set these to true. That way we know there's a file in there or not, rather than trying to check for the files variable, etc., etc., because it can have a file that is invalid as well. So that's part of the thing. If it doesn't have a valid file, we can still upload that, which we don't want to do. So at this point, I'm going to say, I'm going to put an if statement here and say, if not image added, let's put an alert. Please add a valid image. Okay. But then at the same time, we want to return from here. Now we'll do the same thing to evaluate the file. Please add a valid video file and then return. Okay, so those things should work as intended. Probably, okay, this is fine, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, cool. I will refresh. And if I try to save now, it will say, please add a valid image before we go any further. But even if I add the image, it won't change a thing. So let's fix that. So when we add an image here on this input, something is going to change about this input. So we're going to put an onChange listener. So whenever something changes there, we want to display this image. So we're going to create a function called display image. You can give it any name you want. And what I want it to give me is the files property of this input. So to reference this input, we just say this.files, and then we just get the first file in there and send it through to this. In fact, instead of doing this, let me just send the event. It's much easier that way. Okay, so the reason I'm sending the event is because I want to display the file that has been put here. So all I need to do is say this item, get the parent node, and in that parent node get the image tag, and then change the source to whatever was given here. Okay, so let's try to do just that. So here we'll create a second function. We'll call it function display image. We're expecting an event as well here. So in the event, e.current_target.files 0. That's where our file is in there. Now we need to know the allowed file types. That's image/JPEG, image/PNG. We can also allow image WebP as well, not a problem. You can put GIFs, etc., etc. So here let file is equal to that's where the file is, right? So now we want to check if it's an allowed file first of all. So we say if, right, file dot type, the type of file will be one of these or some other one. So we say if allowed dot includes file dot type, then things are okay. Then we don't care. But if it does not include, then we are going to return. But before we return, we make sure that image added becomes false once again. Okay, but let's tell the user as well what's going on. Say only image formats allowed are, and then here I'm just going to add the allowed array and convert it to a string. I'll just say .toString like that. Yeah, great. But the string will contain the image slash in there, so it's going to show you the image or JPEG, blah blah blah. Anyway, we're going to see it, so this is fine. Otherwise, if it's allowed, then image added will be equal to true. But then let's display the image as well. So I'm going to say e.current target dot parent node. So the parent node of that input, then search query selector. Instead of all, I just want one. I want to search for any image tags in there, and then the source of that image tag will be equal to the file that we had here. Now I can't put the file itself there, so I have to convert it to a base64 blob. So I can do that by using the function URLs, the class URL. It's got a function called create object URL, and you pass in that file like that. Okay, great. Great, I guess. And then if this is not allowed as well, we have to remove the source, or do we? No, we can just leave it be. Okie dokie. So I'll refresh this and click there. Let me go to my desktop and images, and then maybe people. Doesn't matter. Products, whatever. I just want an image here. Maybe let's do people. Okay, so let me select this one. And as you can see, it shows me there quite fine. I've added an image, which is nice. But let's go and try to add something that isn't an image, for example. Let me try a WAV file. So it's going to say only image formats allowed are as follows. So image slash JPEG, blah, blah, blah. Now, instead of people seeing image slash, I can trim those things. So I can say .toString.replace all. And what am I replacing? The image slash, replacing it with an empty string. Okay. Simple stuff, but importante. Okay, so let me grab another image. So it tells me only JPEG, PNG, and WebP. So it won't show that. So that's great. At least we have an image there. We need to do the same thing for the video file. We need to vet the video file. So I'm going to duplicate this. Instead of this, I'm going to say validate video. Since we are not displaying the video, we just want to validate the video. So the video, we only want video.mp4. Is it? I think that's it. Video MPEG. You can put all the formats you want. Those that run on a browser directly would be better. So allowed, file, everything else, only video formats allowed are, and they need to show us there. Instead of image here, we need a video. Okay, and same thing here. I want to grab instead of, yeah, this we are not doing though. Instead of image added, we have file added, and here as well, file added. This we are not doing. We are not displaying the video anyway, but you could display the video if you wanted by putting a video player over here, I guess. You could put a video player over here. That's up to you. So let's see. Maybe we can. What would that be called? Video, I guess. Oops, I edited the wrong part. Should have edited here. Video. So maybe we change it back to display video here. Alright, something like so. So back to where the video thingy is. Let's try and do that. Video file is right here. Underneath that, let's try and add a video source. Let's do video tag source. There's an empty source there. Let's do controls here and type video/mp4. Yeah, maybe we can do that. Let's do width 100 pixels or 100. I think it's just like that. So let me refresh this. Okay, doesn't look very video-y. Let's try height as well. 100. Maybe the width can be wider, 150, like this. Interesting. Let me put a break tag here. This is the only time a break tag will be useful. It doesn't seem to work. Maybe because this is display flex or something. Okay, let's try and add a video. So I'm going to grab this and add an MP4. Okay, let's inspect the element. Go to the console to see any invalid URL. Load of media resource failed. Invalid URI. Okay, so I guess that doesn't work. So let's forget about it. So I'm going to go here. Instead of display video, let's do validate video. Let me remove that. Okay, so with that in mind, let me refresh. Let me browse again. Let me add that video, and it's added. But let me try and add some other format that it doesn't recognize. It still did add it, which is not cool. Let's go to the console. No errors whatsoever. So what's really going on? Let allowed current file. Oh, that's because it's not actually. Oh, wait a second. Maybe this was actually gonna work in the first place. It's because we don't have the on change. Let's say display video and put the event there. Okay, let's try that. Oh, looky there. So browse. Ah, there you go. So it actually plays. Look at that. Interesting. I love that. I just love that. Okay, cool. So, the problem here is, let me try to add styles and say flex direction, and let's put column instead. Let's see how that changes things. Okay, much better. I like that better instead. Let us increase this to 250. Yeah, let's see what that does. Let's put a style here. say margin top 10 pixels. All right. Okay. So if I click to add a video, let me add the wrong one. It says only video formats allowed. Okay, fair enough. Let me add this one, and there it is, and it starts showing. So I can make it play. As you can see, stop. Okay, cool. Then I can also add an image, of course, and people. Let me add that image, and there we go. Look at that. Very cool. So this one is my video, like that. Okay. And now I can actually send this data somewhere with a description. So it's gonna work out. It won't give me any errors whatsoever if I click. So let me try that. Save, and as you can see, nothing happens, but there are no errors either. Okay, so that is good. Now we just need to make it submit in here. So after doing all this, adding that data needs to be submitted. So how do we submit that data? We create an Ajax object. So let's do that. And here I'm going to say send data via Ajax. Yes. So here we'll say var, usually it's called XHR, is equal to new, XML capitalized HTTP request. So careful with the capitalization there. Okay, so then XHR dot open, and then XHR dot send. And what are we sending? We're sending the form, which is in form of data. So I'm just gonna put data here, and in here we tell it what method we are using, which is post, and what exactly the file we are targeting. So since everything must have root, put root there. Now keep in mind I've put PHP tags because this is a PHP thingy. Then slash, we're going to have a file named Ajax, a controller named Ajax, and then let's put true here so that what's this? So that it doesn't disturb the UI, it doesn't freeze while doing this. And also here I want to put another variable. So if var uploading is equal to false, that way when we start uploading we set it to true. That way we don't repeat ourselves, we don't click twice. So here I'll say uploading is equal to true. Now before I set it to true, I have to check first of all if uploading is true or false. So we'll just try it right here. We'll say if uploading, then return. Let's exit the function if we are already uploading something, but let's tell the user please wait until the upload is complete, like this. Okay, so that's what we have, and return. So uploading is false. Now we have to set uploading to false at some point once we stop uploading, right? So we must listen in for the XHR dot, let's say add event listener, right? Careful with the capitalization there. We are listening to the on ready. We don't have to put the on. We are listening for the ready state change. And we'll put a function to run once we have the state we want. So here I'm just saying if XHR dot ready state is equal to 4, then uploading is equal to false. Okay, so let me explain that a little bit. So we're adding an event listener. There are 4 states that this item has. So all the other states mean, for example, it's opening, it's sending, and then number 4 means it has returned some data or it's complete, it's done. So all we need to do is check for that ready state. It will change to 4 when everything is done. Then uploading will be set to false. Okay, we also need to check if everything went well. So xhr.status is equal to 200. So when you make a request and the page that you are making the request to will return a status code, 200 means everything went well. Anything other than that is an error. So here we're going to say else. We're just going to alert the user an error occurred, something like that. And then of course we do uploading is equal to false. But here, if uploading is good, we'll say uploading complete, exclamation point. And then I want us to window.location.reload. Okay, we can go to a different page, but for now this should work just fine. Now also, I want another event listener, so I'm going to duplicate this one and close that like so. Now the thing I want to listen for is the what do I want to listen for here though? This one I'm going to listen in the upload object of the request. So upload, add event listener, and what is this one? I think we listen for progress. I think that's what it is. Okay, so here I'm gonna need to grab the event. So I'm gonna do E like that. And this event is going to contain 2 things. So the first one is the e.loaded, and then we divide by e.total. So what was loaded and what is the total, and then multiply that by 100, and I want to round that off. Now in JavaScript we use math.round to round things off, and let's call this percent. So let percent is equal to, and then that's what it is, right? So during the progress we'll see that percentage, and then I want it to run to grab this guy. So this is the progress bar. So this whole part I want it to disappear when I don't need it. So I'm going to add a hide class there. Okay, and let's see, maybe let's put I think this is okay, hide class, and then this one, this is the thing that moves around. So let me put a class there and call it JS prog, just so I know this is for JavaScript. And then the hide class, let's add a style here so that the hide class can actually do something. So I'm going to say .hide, let's do this, and we'll say display none. Okay, so with that we shouldn't see the progress bar. So refresh and it's gone. Okay, cool. Now that we have that, we can grab the, let me put that at 0%. Why doesn't this have a style though? Oh, I see what's happening. This is the thing with, this is just the text, right? Okay, so I'm gonna move this in here instead. This is the part that should move to show the progress. Let's put a style here instead. Actually, I don't need this. This is just to hold the text. That's all. And so the progress bar will move from 0% to 100%. So here at the moment, I should put the style. Let's do the style width 0%, like that. Okay. Okay, so what I want to do is put the progress bar. If uploading will return, but if we are here, I want to say document dot query selector, and actually let me do JS prog holder and then the progress by itself. Okay, so I want to query select the JS prog holder, and then we can say dot style, no, actually dot class list dot remove. So I want to remove the hide class from it, like so. Okay, so once I do that, and let me set the other one to 0%, the JS prog, just like that, and say dot style dot width is equal to 0. Let me put it as a string, 0%, like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab this and put it in the progress bar now. So I'm gonna do this. So the progress bar and we'll combine the percent plus that percent there, and also at the same time if I grab the child, so children of this progress bar, the first child, because there's only one item in there, I want to change the text dot inner HTML is equal to exactly what we have here, this and that. Okay, so this is to display the text, this one is to move the actual bar so that it looks like there's some progress happening. Okay, so let's give this a shot and see what will happen. So I'm going to refresh the page. Let me add an image. Let me add a title. Let's say my video. Let me browse to add a file. Let's go ahead. Okay, so I'm gonna grab any of these MP4s. Maybe this one, I want something bigger. Yeah, this one is big enough. Okay, so that's good. I should see a progress bar here. So I'm gonna do save. And as you can see now, it's showing me what's happening, how far it is in uploading, and then boom, upload complete. Okay, awesomeness. Okay, good. So all this was sent, the video, the image, and yeah, the rest. So what we need now is, oh wait, it didn't let's see what happens when you're uploading and you click again. So I click, please wait until the upload is complete. Ah, right. So it never resets, does it? XHR ready state is equal to 4. What's happening? But it did say upload complete, right? So it got to this place. I think it got an error here. So I'm gonna do this. Okay, great. So let's try this again. So browse for the file. Let's browse for an image. Let's put my video over here and let's upload. Now, if I click while this is happening, please wait until the upload is complete. And there, boom, upload complete. It should refresh the page, and it does. Okay, so everything is working as intended. But we need a playlist of some kind as well. We need somehow to add playlists here, to select a playlist. So what I'm going to do is create a let me get back here for a second. So I want to remove playlist ID from optional from these optional things, so that now it can tell me please add a playlist or something. Then let's go up here. These are the options. I want to delete the options and remain with one. Select playlist. There's an option here, but let's put a value to it like that. This one should also have an empty value, and playlist ID, that's fine. So if I go to the model, wait. I need to load these playlists. So what do I need from a playlist? Let me create another table. So let's go back to our database. Right here where the database is, click on it, and you can add a new table here. Let's say this one is, let's start with playlists. Okay, let me hit go. Okay, so we need an ID, the primary key, so put auto increment and primary key. And then we need the playlist underscore name, and then so the ID and the playlist name. That's basically it. You could also add what is known as a slug, just so you have the name of the playlist in your URL if you want that. So let's add a slug there as well. Okay, so that should be enough. It's variable character. Let's put playlist name is up to you, maybe 50 characters. Let's put 100 on this one, and let's hit go. Okay, so on the name you may want to search by name or by ID, but usually we're going to search by slug, so let's do that. The slug is like an ID, a unique identifier of the playlist, but it should look like the playlist name so that it's URL friendly and Google can use that for search engine. So we can do the same for videos as well. But what I want here is just to show that we can have playlists in there. So I'm going to go to insert and just insert something in here. So I'm going to call this playlist untitled, just as a beginning part of it. Then I'll put the slug as untitled as well, and then save. Just so we have at least one playlist in here. So if I click browse, this is what I see. All right. So if I come back here, we still don't have any playlists here, and let's try and load that. Now at any moment you can use the database class here to read from the database. But before we add all that, let's take a break and do the rest of the stuff in the next video. I'll see you then.